In 2007, Nokia was worth $150 billion. They controlled 40% of the entire mobile phone market. Every second, somewhere in the world, someone bought a Nokia phone. They were untouchable, unstoppable, invincible. 6 years later, Nokia sold their phone division to Microsoft for just $7 billion. $150 billion to $7 billion. What you're about to discover isn't just the story of a company that failed. It's the story of how the world's most dominant brand ignored every warning sign until it was too late. This is the rise and fall of Nokia. But Nokia's story doesn't start with phones. It starts in 1865. In a small Finnish town, with a paper mill, Fredrik Idestam, a mining engineer, built a wood pulp factory on the banks of a river called Nokianvirta. He was making paper, not technology, just paper. For decades, that's all Nokia was, a paper company. Then, in 1967, something strange happened. The paper mill merged with a rubber company and a cable manufacturer. Suddenly, Nokia was making 3 completely unrelated products: paper, rubber boots, and telephone cables. Nobody knew what Nokia actually was anymore. Not even Nokia. But in the 1980s, the new CEO, Kari Kairamo, made a bold decision. He sold everything, the paper, the rubber, the cables, and bet the entire company on one thing: mobile phones. At the time, mobile phones were rare, expensive, and the size of a brick. Most people thought they'd never catch on. Nokia thought differently, and they were about to prove the entire world wrong. In 1992, Nokia launched the Nokia 1011, their first GSM phone. It was a game changer, smaller, lighter, more reliable than anything on the market. By 1998, Nokia was the world's largest mobile phone manufacturer. Let me say that again. In just 6 years, a Finnish company that used to make paper became the biggest phone company on Earth. They didn't stop there. In 2000, Nokia launched the 3310. If you were alive in the early 2000s, you know this phone. Everyone had one. Your parents, your friends, even your grandparents. It was indestructible. The battery lasted a week, and it had Snake. Nokia became a cultural phenomenon. Owning a Nokia wasn't just about having a phone. It was about being connected, being modern, being cool. By 2007, Nokia's dominance reached its peak. They controlled 40% of the global phone market. Their stock was worth $150 billion. They were selling 1.5 million phones every single day. Nokia wasn't just winning. They were so far ahead it seemed impossible for anyone to catch up. But on January 9th, 2007, something happened that would change everything. Steve Jobs walked onto a stage in San Francisco and introduced the iPhone. Nokia's executives watched that presentation. They saw the touchscreen, the apps, the sleek design, and they dismissed it. "It's too expensive," they said. "Nobody wants a phone without buttons." They were wrong. Within 1 year, the iPhone captured 14% of the smartphone market. Nokia's response? The N97, launched in 2009, 2 years after the iPhone. It had a touchscreen, but it was clunky. The software was slow. It crashed constantly. Reviews called it a disaster. Meanwhile, Google launched Android. Samsung, HTC, and other companies jumped on board immediately. Nokia stuck with their old software, Symbian, a system designed for button phones now being forced onto touchscreens. Internally, Nokia was falling apart. Engineers knew Symbian was outdated. They begged management to switch to Android or develop something new. But Nokia's leadership was paralyzed. They had too many departments, too many managers, too much bureaucracy. Fear spread through the company. Teams stopped sharing information. Everyone was protecting their own jobs instead of innovating. By 2010, Nokia's market share dropped from 40% to 28%. By 2011, it fell to 16%. By 2013, it was just 3%. 3%. In 6 years, Nokia went from dominating the world to nearly disappearing. In 2011, Nokia's new CEO, Stephen Elop, sent an internal memo to employees. He called it the burning platform. In the memo, he wrote, We are standing on a burning platform, and we must decide how we are going to change our behavior. His solution? Partner with Microsoft. Abandon Symbian. Build phones using Windows Phone software. It was too late. Windows Phone never took off. Customers didn't want it. Developers didn't build apps for it. Meanwhile, iPhone and Samsung were dominating. Nokia was left behind. In September 2013, Microsoft bought Nokia's phone division for $7.2 billion. Remember, just 6 years earlier, Nokia was worth $150 billion. They lost 95% of their value. In 2016, Microsoft officially shut down the Nokia phone brand. One of the most successful companies in history was gone. So, what killed Nokia? It wasn't lack of money. At their peak, they had billions in the bank. It wasn't lack of talent. They had some of the best engineers in the world. It wasn't even the iPhone. Competitors like Samsung adapted to the iPhone era and thrived. Nokia died because of 3 mistakes, and these mistakes destroy companies every single day. Mistake number 1, arrogance. When the iPhone launched, Nokia laughed. They thought their dominance was permanent. They forgot that in business, nothing is permanent. Mistake number 2, fear of change. Nokia's engineers knew Symbian was outdated, but management was too afraid to abandon it. They had invested too much. Letting go felt like admitting failure, so they clung to a dying system until it killed them. Mistake number 3, internal politics. Nokia became more focused on protecting territories inside the company than competing with threats outside the company. When your employees are fighting each other, you've already lost. Here's the truth. Nokia didn't fail because the iPhone was better. They failed because they stopped listening. They stopped adapting. They stopped being humble. And in a world that moves this fast, if you stop moving, you disappear. Today, Nokia still exists, but not as a phone company. They make telecommunications equipment, network infrastructure. The Nokia that ruled the world, the Nokia that everyone knew, that Nokia is gone forever. Nokia's story is a warning. No matter how big you are, no matter how successful you've been, if you stop evolving, the world will move on without you. The question is, are you listening to the warning signs in your own life, in your own business, or are you standing on a burning platform, refusing to jump? If this story made you think, hit that subscribe button. We break down the rise and fall of the world's biggest companies every week. Drop a comment and tell me, what company should we cover next? Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.